I just want to quickly go over the deck so that everybody can see what we are asking you to do. And then we're going to spend now till lunch just allowing you to get it done. I'll float around, answer any questions that you may have, and we're going to have some fun. All right. Work if it turn it on. So as we reviewed this before the break, this is just material that's there if you need to refresh your memory. The video that we watched where it talked about project-based learning, that's in there. We are not asking you to represent the video. I'm just gave you some resource material if you need to review and to just build upon. Here is the framework that gives you those 7 Ps. And this is, once this comes up, this is the deck. This was the example that we were working on yesterday where we had the conversation and people were sharing their thoughts about it. This is all just reference material just so that you can go back if you need to as you feel led. Here is an example of what this framework looks like filled out, and this is for the example of Science Genius, but it is worthy of repeating. You do not have to choose science. This is just giving you an example of what a completed one would look like and how you see that there is a flow. That was one of the main words of the morning is flow, that there is a flow going from step 1 all the way through step 7. Here, you are going to fill this out. This is where the name of your proposed project, you can identify whether your project is designed for primary or secondary. So when you're coming up to present, and as Randy said, however innovative and free within the rules you want to get, you're going to make sure that you're covering this information. So identifying whether your project is primarily for either primary or secondary, list out the name of your group members. You might need to add some numbers in there because most of your tables have more than 6. And then identify the 2 subjects that you addressed beyond music. And then share a thought about what does success look like for this project. And then here is your blank form that you're going to complete. So know that your presentation really will consist of this slide and that slide. All right? And everything else before that is just resource material. Any initial questions before y'all dive in? We good? All right. So let's get started. So a question that we have with the 2 subjects, are they interrelated into the same project? Yes. You are not creating 2 projects. You are creating one project that by the students successfully completing that project, they would be diving into at least 2 subject area disciplines. So like what we reviewed yesterday, for them to get on that stage, they had to dive into science, they had to dive into English, they even dove into some music and performance. So it was one project that had multiple disciplines coming together. make sure that when you do your prediction and it talks about the impact, that impact is rooted in some type of change in behavior, skill acquisition, attitude, based upon what your provoke point is. So remember when we used the example yesterday, the provoke point was black and brown students being detached, not even interested in science. Our prediction was if we were able to infuse culture into science, not only would students think different about the culture, they would think different about science. So that impact was a shift in attitude. So just make sure that your prediction, the impact is some type of action to address the issue or challenge that provoked you to even come up with the project.
No. Good day, I am Omar Francis, and these are my group members.
Adrian Brom.
Shakia Chase. Abigail Williams.
Tanya Clark.
Dario Warren.
Jonathan Nurse. Karen Moore.
And we have Chad Graves in the back ready to set up to let you hear our lovely song. Our project is a healthier me, as we would have recognized. And the ministry is also supporting healthier children, healthier people in Barbados. We've had a lot of non-communicable diseases. It's on the rise. So we've decided that we're going to look at physical education along with health science to form the basis for our project. So, as you can see, provoke a healthier me. There's a high level of non-communicable diseases amongst our students. In step 2, we're going to look at students will start exercising more and making healthier food choices by creating bashment soca songs with dynamic music. My group members were a little bit against the dynamic, so enjoyable music. And we could change that word as time goes on. In step 3, we're going to look at teachers and students who will work with bashment soca and dance artists to learn how to write soca songs with enjoyable movement. Emphasis will be placed on healthy eating and healthy lifestyle. So in every song, we want that we're thinking about healthy choices and movement. Movement always, okay? Step 4, we label it the 3 C's: choreography, create, change, okay? So we're going to create a variety of dances to bashment soca music as a social media challenge. So we're going to get people to go on TikTok, get them to go on Instagram. They're going to do their dances, going to do their songs to the music that they create. And we're also going to look at hosting live events in the school where the students will be able to model the behavior based on us, the teachers. I guess we could skip the rest and just move on to our song. Yeah?
All right, Chad, hit it. Yeah. Yeah. Apples, grapes, bananas, apples, grapes, banana. Walk up, we doing it together. Walk up, we doing it together. Apples, grapes, banana, apples, grapes, bananas. Walk up, we doing it together. Healthy eating, whole healthy lifestyle. Get moving, work out in style. Eat greens with a whole set of movement. Lift your knees, I know you can do them. We tired of the NCDs. Leave out the sugar, I beg you please. Hands up, now on your shoulder. Touch your toes, bend right over. Apples, grapes, banana. Apples, grapes, banana. Walk up. Walk up, we doing it together. Apples, grapes, banana. Apples, grapes, bananas. Hands up, let me walk together. Hands up, we doing it together. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Our project today is called Social Literacy and Math. And this project is designed for secondary schools, given that we have the limitation between the two sections. But generally, our goal is for both primary and secondary. And the group members, we have Mr. Christopher Sears, Mr. Laurie Worrell, Mr. Hugh Griffith, Hayassan Butcher, and Jim Maloney, and myself, Paul Ford. And the two subjects we're going to use, obviously, mathematics and literacy. Students can basically draw from the collaborative knowledge of all the subject areas, basically. Good, so our provoke of this particular step is that we have a lot of students who are failing in math and literacy. They can't read, and they're failing in math. If you recognize in the CXC results, only 36% of students pass CXC math. And then we had issues at common entrance with the low numbers in mathematics, also 54%. And then we have the reading skills that we're hearing constantly within in the media from the ministry end. So basically, to predict, we're going to use soccer to kind of bridge the gap between math and literacy to help the development of mathematical skills and literacy. In our preparation, we're going to use teachers and students along with the music soccer to improve that reading. So basically what you're going to do to improve reading is that you're going to say or do things by singing and performing. Okay? So math, we're going to utilize mathematical formulas, and for literacy, we're going to use the stories and the poems that you get within an English class. In the preview, we're going to have each class creating their own stories within soca music based on whatever they have. So our song is based on the animal farm. Okay, you know, that's part of literacy and the lit program within schools. So using that particular song and creating a song using the topics and let's say a paragraph, a chapter of that song or that story, and helping the child to remember the particular story and them to read and feel, you know, some form of enjoyment reading that particular story. And then presentation, so the students will then present within class. Classmates will tell, well, I like that. This is why I believe we should change within that particular presentation, how to improve, you know, master it within the class, then taking it towards the year group. So the entire school can then benefit from the actual program. When that has been mastered, then we're taking it to the community. The community can then benefit because we can't only think of reading and math skills only within the school, you know, have parents and the younger ones that may be able to benefit from it. And then when we've mastered that at that level, onto social media. How we are going to assess that project is by seeing how the attitudes towards these students, towards the subject area. So if, you know, they have a better attitude to math, you know, when you go into class, the child says, I don't like math, I don't like to read. If this initiative can change that attitude towards math and reading, then that can be a way to say, well, yes, this project has been beneficial. And similarly, based on the results from, you know, what we get in common entrance in the long run. All right, so we have a song, and the song creator wrote the lyrics, or created the entire song, Mr. Hugh Griffith. He is going to be our lead. We have some music in the background, and we will participate within some words, but this is just an example, using literacy.
Animal farm. Animal farm. Let me tell you a little story. On the old banner farm, the tale begins. When old major speaks, people listen to get rid of. We're fighting for them rights. Oh Lord, that's mess up. Pull up. Let me go again. Look. The phone rotate, so I had to start a little late. Let me go. All right, let me go. On an old manor farm, the tale begins. When old major speaks, we shall listen. A dream of freedom, hope and might to get rid of mankind by fighting for their rights. What we say? Again. Old major in charge because he was wise. Napoleon was cunning and a little slut.
Watch it!
snowball was bright. The snowball was bright, but made Napoleon mad. But in the end, Boxer was real strong, but he was a little sad. That is all for now. If you want more, approve the project to see what else we have in store. Again? Again? Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome job. I loved how you turned where you missed the lyric to a quick party break to bring everybody back. So give your students that same amount of grace. Somebody left their computer up here.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So we're up here representing the group Roundabout. Roundabout? Woo! Yes. All right. So the name of our project is
Barco de Tierra. Barco de Tierra, right. Yeah, Barco de Tierra, which translates to land ship.
All right, so let's explain this process. So first off, our project is designed for the primary level. However, it can be extended to the secondary level. Now, our group members are Aaron, myself, Richalan, David, Marlon, Andrea, Dr. Ford. All right, and Mario. Now, the two subjects we're going to address will be Spanish and mathematics. And the success of this project will look like improved numeracy skills and to stimulate a desire to extend the learning beyond the abstract to real-life experience, which would feature traveling via cruise ship to places like Panama, and we have Cuba. We have these different Spanish-speaking territories within the Caribbean. You switch? Okay, all right. So, step one in the project would be to increase relations between the Spanish-speaking Caribbean countries and Barbados. So, when we take our minds back to what's happening in our society today, we have nurses coming in from different Spanish-speaking territories. We have a whole host of people coming in terms of tourists as well. So what we want to do is outfit our students with the skills necessary to communicate with these persons. Now, yes, at the primary school level, it may seem a little premature, but remember, they're not going to stay small. They're going to get older. They're going to pursue careers in tourism, and we want to be able to start them from early. We don't want that when they go over to Cuba, for example, to study medicine, that they're not catching themselves trying to figure out, how do I figure out this language? At least they have a start, in the learning of the Spanish language.
And just to pitch in there from Richland, we want to also give them a platform because most of you are from the secondary schools. So we want to give them a platform when they leave primary school that they can build. It's kind of a scaffolding. They can build on it for when they have to do Spanish at the secondary level.
Yes. No, in addition to that, we chose mathematics. A group mentioned it earlier. We have some low percentages happening where it comes to the children understanding the mathematics. And what we wanted to do was to target children who exhibit low numeracy skills. And we're looking at the age group of in the class 3 and 4. It may seem odd, but from our experience as primary school teachers, there are children in these age groups who have a hard time, something as basic as counting and number names. They have a hard time grasping. So we figured, you know what? They may be challenged in the English. Let's try it in the Spanish. We make it fun. It's a 2-for-1 special. They're learning a little Spanish, but they're also learning their number names. All right? So, and we are using the third prong of it will be the revitalization of top music. We are music teachers after all. And we do notice that there's a decline in the use of top music and appreciation, especially at the primary school level. So we still want them to be exposed to, this is the culture. let's use some top music, and they enjoy themselves. So 3, Spanish, math, and some top music. Step 2, now we're doing all this to sensitize our students to the importance of inclusion from other cultures, and again, to reinforce simple mathematical operations. So how do we seek to achieve all of this? We are going to be using Landship ambassadors to work with students to create and translate various number names and simple operations. So how many of us in here have a very basic understanding of Spanish? Hands up. Ah, boy. So for this plan to be a success, what we're aiming to do is that if I was to ask this question in another time, a few years down the road, once it works, everyone should raise their hands. All right? So how do we plan to pull this off? Well, we will have our students participate in Landship choreography to Spanish commands. So if we have an understanding of how the Landship works, when we call the number 5, what's the number 5, Mr. Eiffel, in Spanish? Cinco. And what's the number 12?
12.
All right. So when these commands are called, we should automatically see the children responding to these commands because they understand it. All right. So we want to host multiple rehearsals to reinforce the choreography and commands, and then this entire production will be performed at the school's independence concert at whatever date that the school would designate the independence concert to be. And we were saying that by extension, we have our lunchtime programs coming up in October. We can have the children demonstrating their knowledge at these same lunchtime concerts. So, pardon? Yes, and NIFCA, for sure. Ms. Eiffel?
And to add to that as well, I would also say, of course, like we mentioned earlier, there are Spanish-speaking tourists that may come into the country. And I think it would be very interesting for them to experience a culture that they're, to some extent, now being introduced to, but in their language, in a language that they understand. So to have that Landship being done with commands that they can translate in their mind, as opposed to just having to learn English or learn Bajan or what's not, but to hear it is like a piece of home away from home, if that makes sense.
Thank you very much, and it is true. So once all of this is said and done, we will seek to have a debrief afterwards and discuss the lessons taught and the exposure to the Barbadian culture and by extension the Caribbean culture, specifically the Spanish-speaking Caribbean. All right, so that's it. I hope you guys understand. Yes? Gracias.
Gracias.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Our presentation is called M squared A, the M squared A effect. Our project is designed for secondary in year 1, and our group members are Cassandra, Cody on my right, Carlene on my left, me, Marcella, Matthew unfortunately had to leave, Michelle, and Tariq. The 2 subjects that we are addressing, and Shalon, all right, hi. So the 2 subjects we address are mathematics and art. And the M squared alpha is actually music, maths, and art. So what does the success look for us? It is the ability to transfer knowledge and content learned from subject to subject. So if you learn the content in art, you should be able to transfer it to music and to mathematics. So what are we provoking? We're realizing that creative students tend to have difficulty with mathematical concepts. So music students and art teachers and art students may have difficulty with maths. We're predicting that music can bridge the gap among kinesthetic, auditory, visual and read or write students, and then the creatives will be more successful in mathematics. When we're preparing, we will consider that teachers and students will work with the band associations in Barbados and the ambassadors on how to play certain rhythms and decide on mathematical topics. So we're looking at the product. The product is, we're looking at the pie charts and Venn diagrams and reinforcing those topics through the use of particular rhythms to represent colors. Each rhythm is played when a particular color is called, and in order to get secondary colors, 2 rhythms are played together, and that will signify the combination, and that will also create polyrhythms. And if you can imagine that you're using the pie chart for your primary colors, your red, yellow, and blue, and you increase that pie chart when you do your secondary colors, the green, the purple, and whatnot, the orange. That's what we are considering. So each color will have a particular rhythm. How does this look when we preview it? Students will present pieces at a series of rehearsals with volunteers teaching, and revisions will be made to pieces and performances in preparation for an end-of-term concert. We present it. Each form will present their pieces to an internal audience. And we decided to do internal rather than every school having this competition to help build confidence. So we're doing an internal audience of their peers and teachers at the end of term concert. And a winning group will be selected by assessments, the assessment panel, which will be made up of music, math, and art teachers. And finally, when we're looking at the process, which is our reflection, we will reflect on the M squared A effect by watching the recordings, because we would have had this recorded. So reviewing the recordings of the presentation, assessing the attitudes and changes of students about mathematics, and then moving forward, we will expand this program to the rest of the school. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jewel Devenish. This is Ryan Blackman's group. The group, it consists of Valis Gemma, who had to leave. We have Farakan Stevenson, Elan Marie Jordan, Elan Marie Jordan, Andre Aline, Omar Haynes, and as I said earlier, myself, Jewel Devenish. The group named, the project, Cooking with Math. Cooking with Math. We know that, as you heard all the statistics earlier, there's definitely an issue with math, not just in primary school, all the way to CSET. And we know sometimes as adults, we struggle with math sometimes. So the hope of this project, the 2 subjects will be home economics and math. And we're hoping in the end to increase and have a love for math and appreciation for our math and home ec. We can go to the next slide. Well, the project is saying secondary school. We have a primary school teacher. He thought it best that it would work for first forms for class 4 students. And really and truly, as you see what our project would be, it actually works for everyone. So, the provoke. School age students unable to apply knowledge and skills in math and home ec. Step 2, the predict. Music can be used to foster deeper understanding for math and home ec and Bajan culture among struggling students in school. The whole aim is to merge the 2 subjects. So we have students who may be struggling, as I said, with math. They may not be able to cook. And we're hoping that through this, we can get students cooking and having a great appreciation for our math. Step 4, students wrote rhymes, or will be able to write rhymes to various instrumentals and explore, and teachers back math and home ec contact. So students review the process, making Barbadian dishes. The preview, students present sounds and rhymes to classmates and teachers. Revisions are made to the process, and in the process and made to the pieces. So when they go and they present to their class in the home ec class and the math class, if there's a need to adjust something when the teacher reviews the content, then that would take place there. And step 6, the students present pieces at the school's Independence Day celebration. The home economic class presents the fish cakes that they will actually make along the way during the process. All right, and the last step, students and teachers reflect on the food math process by assessing changes and attitude about math and home ec. And school moving forward, the program will be elevated by other HODs. So we're going to do a quick demonstration here. So enjoy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Apparently, I am the demonstrator. So, in hindsight, well, thinking forward, most people associate songs, right? We can use the melodies of songs to put over other information. We chose a familiar Bajan tune that everybody here should know. If I go, fish, cakes, and bits. Good, awesome. See? I think the job is done, so we can. All right, so we can use the melody of this song and try to. Yeah, we can change it. Yeah, you all can sing it. So we changed up the lyrics a bit and we added our own verses, hopefully with the idea of incorporating things like measurements and mass using a beaker, or measuring out teaspoons, etc. So let's see if this works. So look at one. Ready? I can do the pre-chorus. We using some mass in less than an hour. Hopefully we give you something great other than fish essence and flour. We had that this morning. Chorus 2, 3. Fish cakes are big, every big job. But they say no. When it's time to educate. So the I go first. Verse 2. Put on 6 cups of water and add all these salt fish in it.
Put it in, 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 put it in.
Don't boil it for an hour. It just needs 4 minutes.
Take it out, 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 take it out.
When you flake the salt fish, put it in the bowl. Add the other ingredients. Mix it with your soul.
Stir it up, 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 stir it up. Fish cakes and bits, every bit just
yeah.
So when it's time to educate, we using fish cakes and bits.
Fish cakes and bits, every bit just does make.
When it's time to educate, we using fish cakes and bits.
Ba-ba-dum, 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 ba.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our project name is The Story of Us, and group members that put this together, Monique, Deborah, Stephen, Dave, Roger, and our QR code creator, Ryan, and myself, right. So the 2 subjects that we have included in this, besides music, would be social studies and language arts. And the group that we are looking at is, I'm blocking anybody? Good. Okay, right, sorry. The group that we are targeting, primary class 1 through to 4, and we said that we also work for the first years at secondary school. And what does success look for this project? We believe that children would have understanding of folk culture, folk heritage, how it works, how it was used, and also an increased engagement between the youth and the elder group of the society. So, the provoke. we found that we think there's a lack of cultural awareness, or our cultural heritage rather, specifically in folk, genre of folk music. And also there's less interaction between, say, the older persons and the young persons in terms of what folk music is, how it was used, the importance of it, where it should continue, or how it's even transcended from then till now. So we predict that folk songs could be used as a vehicle for students to understand and appreciate their cultural heritage and create greater community connections and understand their current context. To prepare, we're going to invite local folk artists, writers into schools to work with the children, to talk with them, to create the sounds and music. And also we're going to have them to speak with some elders, some members of the community, so that they will have these are stories and that you can use to base music and so on. There's folk songs on. From there, they're going to create the repository of the stories and their own folk songs. They create these folk songs using their own genres and stuff. One thing about folk is that folk music, we think of folk music as being traditional and old. And whilst I do subscribe to that, I was also told, right, Stephen? Right. I was also told that it's music of the folk. And present day, music of the folk, they listen to electronic type music, electronic beats and so on. So you're going to include that in the creation of it. So we may even have to bring in some persons who are good at that to help them with the genres and stuff like that. From there, they're going to perform these songs before the same artists, the persons who helped them create it, teachers, and so on, and make revisions as whatever constructive criticisms is given. From there, they're going to perform their own folk songs for public. We're thinking of some sort of school function that they can do it as a concert, and it's going to be an interactive concert. So imagine you're going to a school concert, and when you go in and you walk around, there are booths that have, please show the QR code again, please. Right? So you scan the code with your phone, which will take you to the background story to whatever song that the person is going to sing or perform. And then you sit down and you enjoy this piece of music, and you know what it's based on. It's based on, your name again? Ryan. It's based on Ryan's story. From there, after that, we get to talk. We get to ask them about the process, what it was like. We get valid. What have you learned? What have you gained from that? And we're hoping from this, not only that they said that they have greater appreciation for the folk genre, for the process and so on, but they also have greater appreciation for stories in their life and what's going around them, and that they can use the music and stuff like that to continue to communicate with others and so on. And from that, as an example of that, led by Deborah and Monique, we have a folk song that we have written and about our experience during this activity. And I'm going to give somebody this.
Just want me to start. Whichever one. We can play big quarter.
That goes straight there. That goes straight over there. So it doesn't come here. Not of that.
All right. I hear a bit.
Oh, they're learning, they're singing, having a ball at Ernest College, standing tall. With got a lesson, enjoying every part, teaching with passion and leading from the heart.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right. This is our group presentation. The name of our proposal is Español para Todos. Spanish for everyone. Okay. Spanish for everyone. Our project was designed for both secondary and primary schools. At first, we wanted to tackle secondary schools, but with the technique that was being used and the song creation, as you're going to come to see, you're going to realize that it can be used at both the primary level and a secondary level. I have a knack for making up words. I may look American. Anyway. So the group members, we have Mr. Justin Beard, who's not here with us. I'm Darren Messiah. We have Mr. Ian Webster, Tracy Abbas, Kevin King, Mr. Mylon Clark. Kevin King's not here anymore either. Mylon Clark. The two subjects we are addressing are Spanish and English. And in this, the success for this particular project is to be able to have a grasp of the Spanish language. Right. That would have want changing. Yeah, correct. All right. So the provoked Barbadian students showing deficiencies in understanding conversational Spanish. 2, music can be used to bridge the gap between the Hispanophone and the Anglophone Caribbean nations and the languages and the cultures and everything else in between. Step 3, native speakers, musicians, and English teachers, we would get them to work with the students to create sounds in the target language, to broaden their understanding so that they'd be able to use the language and it would deepen their understanding of what exactly they are learning in the classroom. We have songs, then we expect to see songs written on different topics. So you may have conjugations, you may have salutations, all of those different topics that you would have in a particular language. We would expect them to use different topics, but use the same project, use the same concept. Students will present their songs in class for review, in which revisions to lyrical content and melody are adjusted if needed. They're able to gain confidence in their presentations. And the student body will present to the student body, to families and the wider community will be invited to the recital where they will present what they were able, and they will be able, where those present will be able to see the fruit. We will be able to see the fruits of their labor. Can I get an amen? All right, good. Thank you. A majority of us are music teachers, right? We are music teachers, but we are trying to bridge the gap. Amen. All right. And also, as we see the fruit of their labor in learning the language, we are also to the audience, to the families, to the student body, introducing a foreign language to them as well. So they also be able to get, I would say, a kind of immersive experience in the language and also with the learning of a second language or foreign language. And then afterwards, we'll have a powwow where we're able to talk to the students, talk to the teachers, discuss their honest thoughts and feelings about everything that which occurred. They will take note of the criticisms and implement changes if needed. So here is an example of what this can look like. My team, which will be led by Mr. Ian Webster.
Yes. So, something like that. I don't know. So essentially, we created a song You got this slide there, bro? Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna look at this is conjugation, yeah? So we are going to go in Spanish first, and then Miss Bess here will do the English. All right? So we're gonna make this interactive as well. So I'm going to teach you a little bit of Spanish. Now I learned this today just like y'all about to learn it, so bear with me. Bear with me. Start the group, sir. So it goes. Yo hablo, tú hablas, ella habla, nosotros hablamos, ellos, ellas hablan.
I speak, you speak, he, she speaks, we speak, they speak. Now let us repeat.
Yo hablo, tú hablas, ella habla, nosotros hablamos, ellos, ellas hablan. One more time. Yo hablo, tú hablas, ella habla, nosotros hablamos, ellos, ellas hablan. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. All right, so this project is primarily designed for primary, but can also be applicable at least for the first year of the secondary. Take your time, baby steps. The group members are Mark Husbands, John Bryan, Anthea, Jamal, Sharika, Laura, Marilyn, Purnell, Mark Ford, and yours truly, Dave Jackman. Interestingly enough, the two subjects that we are dealing with here are social studies, which can also be related to history there, and language. And what does success look for this project? Being able to create folk songs based on our Barbadiana. With that said, can you help me please read the title of this presentation? This project is called Folk You. Now, the provoke. Bayesian students have limited knowledge of their cultural background, interestingly. We recognize that more and more children are going towards other cultural areas, and they are widening the gap with their own heritage. And we're hoping to be able to pull that back in a sense. Now, we predict then that the folk songs can be used to heighten the awareness of and create an appreciation for Barbadian history and their national language. It is also an attempt to use the national language Bajan and to be proud of it. Now, teachers and students will get together and work with the cultural practitioners and combine the history and the use of Bajan vernacular to create a song. We want to include the practitioners in this because people who are accustomed performing, they should also get a chance to be able to interact with the children. Students will create folk songs to explore Barbadian culture and history, so they would have learned certain things about the country and even things that are happening now, because what happened 2 seconds ago is now history. And so we are learning and we are able to create our own songs that we, the folk, will now create. For me? For you. Students will work together with the cultural practitioners to rehearse and we fine tune their pieces with musical accompaniment. Now, the musical accompaniment can be tuck, it can be soca rhythm, it can be whatever rhythm it is, because as we recognized earlier, that you can have different styles, but ideally what would have come out of the Caribbean, things that you should be proud of. Now, then they preview this with the practitioners. The practitioners are working along with them to help fine tune, and then they present at an independence concert. So we are thinking that the time frame will be somewhere between September, October, so that you present in November. And the process, when they review of what they have learned, it's not only what they learned and what they prepared, but hopefully what they learned and what they witnessed other people doing. So the other things that the other children were able to present, they should be able to learn from that as well, and to be able to review from each other. So you're reviewing, yes, your performance and the experience in doing that, but you're also reviewing and seeing what you understand from the knowledge that would have come. So that is basically what you would have heard, and you would have heard a beautiful example in a group earlier, is Group Deborah. Yes, you can scan their QR code to get an example of what we are talking about here. But essentially, that is our presentation. Thank you so very much.
Remember everything that we covered, and I know some of the things that we covered, a lot of energy was around the obstacles. Like, you know, even when the word music rooms were mentioned in plural, there were some issues. But there was a lot of people that did projects that was rooted in history. There is no musical art form that is on the stage today that was created in ideal situations. None. Instruments were invented with scraps. Songs were created while whips were on our backs. So we cannot let any obstacle stop the music that is the essence of our lives. That is not to say not to advocate and do what you can on behalf of your students, but sometimes we will allow the music to stop because it's not properly EQ'd. And we have to push through that. And I want to thank in particular Deborah, who just brought to my attention as we were talking that when you say you are a musician, you say you play an instrument. And when you are a child, oftentimes those initial lessons are learned as you play. And so somewhere along the line, we took play out and we became very rigid. And so hold on to the laughter of your presentations. Look at what you were able to do. And yes, you were here in a room. A group drew a QR code. It's like, hey, I ain't got the app. It don't matter. We going to make a QR code anyway. And I promise you that if you go to school, there will probably be a young person that will take a scan of that and then actually create a real QR code to make that work. But that's just an example of the genius. Randy, in front of everyone, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for taking a chance on me. And let's continue to make history. And so if we don't do anything outside of this room, then these past 2 days were a waste. And so what we have to do is come into our spaces with the joy that we want our students to be. We have to be the first partakers of this movement. So don't leave your best self outside of your class space because you're allowing the curriculum to steal your soul. All right? God bless you all.